Hello again. My name is Mr. Munro and this is the third and final Expectations Evening presentation. This one is looking at devices for learning and online learning, and it will be presented by me, and then I'll hand over soon to Mr. Conley. It's the third in the series of our Expectations Evening presentations, so you should be coming to this having watched the first one of 2 weeks ago, looking at curriculum and assessment at Key Stage 3 or at Key Stage 4 and 5 with Miss Powley, and last week my presentation looking at teaching from the front. To set this in a bit of context then, 2 weeks ago I spoke to you about this slide, talking about how our curriculum teams have prepared their curriculum for this year in the shape of a curriculum journey. They've broken down the knowledge we're expecting our students to learn in the form of knowledge organisers, and we're expecting our students to learn what's in those knowledge organisers as part of the curriculum to an appropriate level of fluency. Last week I reminded you about the idea of permanent learning and the 3 stages of that: encoding, storing and retrieving. And last week's session concentrated on storing and how we as teachers are checking students' understanding in our lessons. This session is going to concentrate far more on independent practice, working at home to ensure that knowledge is stored as part of our permanent memories and that we're able to retrieve it as and when we need to. And I've repeated on the screen there for you Miss Powley's mantra from her Key Stage 4 and 5 presentation, that if something isn't repeated, then it's not learned. We need to repeat something multiple times and practice it multiple times if we're to learn it effectively. I want to talk to you now about what device is an appropriate device for students to be learning at home. We're all of us used to using our mobile phones every day. For many of us, they're almost an extension of our arm, and they are absolutely useful for us for keeping in touch, for checking email, and looking at smaller things. The point I want to stress with you as part of this presentation is your children cannot access learning from home effectively if what they're doing is trying to do all of their work on a mobile phone. For independent practice at home, for use of Firefly, for use of the sorts of resources that Mr. Conley will talk about in a minute, a mobile phone is most often not the most appropriate tool. So the point I'm trying to make here, and this follows on from the digital survey that your sons and daughters will have completed, is that they really need access to, at home, a device that they can work on with a keyboard and with a screen. Something that looks like a computer. It may be a Chromebook, it may be a PC, it may be a Mac, it can be any form of technology, but the device that children really need to be learning effectively is something with a keyboard, not a mobile phone, which has a different purpose. So, having shared with you the types of devices that we expect your children to be able to be using at home to access learning remotely and for independent practice, what I'm now going to do is hand over to Mr. Conley, who's going to talk through a little bit about why we use the resources that we use for independent practice, what the best resources are, and how to go about using them.
Hi there everyone. As part of the Smart Learning Initiative, we're going to be focusing next week on the students' use of digital devices and online learning platforms. Given the range of options out there, we're not going to go through every single one. What we're going to do is try and explain to the students that some techniques when it comes to online learning are more effective for building memory than others. So we're going to organise these tips into a league table, telling students that just reading and rereading websites and watching videos is probably lower down the league compared to apps that help the students understand where they can make improvements. Click on the link on this slide to be taken to the Firefly page for Smart Learning. The video contained in this page will be set to students as a Firefly homework task, so you should be able to see that on Parent Portal. The key message with all online learning is it should be there to help retrieval practice or to support students recalling information.